Dveikus been quite a long period. I want to, forestall any misunderstanding. This Inyan that we're discussing, that Chochmah perceives the truth and so forth, it could very well be projected. One projects that Chochmah imagines the truth, because it wants to know the truth, so it imagines the truth. This is where the principle of Dveikus B'Mkoyle comes in. Imagining, you can imagine this truth, you can be very perceptive and insightful, but you are an entity in your own right. Look how wise I am, how smart I am, that I know something about my source. It's very commendable. That's not what we're talking about. Dveikus B'Mkoyle means that it refuses to acknowledge its own presence. Its presence is what the mocker gives it, not what it perceives to have gotten, to have received. And this is why the Chochmah actually nirgash, actually senses the truth, not knows the truth by projection. And for this, as we always point out, we have a ready-made illustration example for this on a low physical level. Say that sight approximates Chochmah. In sight, it's a completely different experience, sight or hearing or touch. It's a totally different thing. All other faculties, when they recognize what they are associated with, they recognize it by personal experience. So therefore, their presence is definitely playing a very important role in the whole identity. I feel it. It's cold. It's hot. Therefore, I know it. Sight attests that this thing really exists, not because I'm experiencing it, because it really exists. How do you know you are a separate entity? Because I see it. This sighting means that I'm seeing it as it is, not as I perceive it. Or because it is. And we illustrated this in the past, pointing out that an interesting thing inside, and the Chochmah similarly. Chochmah is something which very difficult for us to really elaborate on it. Hopefully we have experienced Chochmah. But sight, everybody experiences it. One phenomenon of sight that is so blatant is that in one instant you can observe an entire panorama, an entire unlimited view. In one instant. What you are viewing, what you are seeing is space. Space consists of a big spread. And in order to see two pieces of space, you have to have two pieces cumulatively. And here we say, no, I perceive an entire expense, even though this expense is definitely divisible into smaller pieces. But I see it as one. How can I see it as one? Because I'm seeing it. Let me step back for a second. If I see it as one, is it space or it's not space? Space is divisible. Space is a cumulative presence in our experience. You can have this much, you can have this much, you can have this much. How is it then that I'm perceiving it all at once? The answer is I'm not perceiving it from the perspective of how I see it. I'm perceiving it from the perspective of how it is. What makes it? That is a fundamental reality. But it's not cumulative at all. All right. All right, so we are bottom third, a quarter of the page, AyinBase 12. The line starts with the Rosh Tevis, with an abbreviation, the word kulo, chashiv. Chashiv. So let's go towards the end of that line. We said that this union, that kulo kamei chashiv, is not sensed in Olam Hazeh. This is Olam Haba. Why? The Olam Hazeh ein nirgash eich she'ein zu losech. The line kulo chashiv. Olam Hazeh ein nirgash she'ein zu losech. Eich she'ein zu losech. Again, please understand this expression, Eich she'ein zu losech. Of course we know ein zu losech. Logically, not the seichel, we know ein zu losech. But in the nirgash. Rak she'ein areich, eich she'ein areich lecho. What is nirgash? What is sensed in Olam Hazeh is only the lower level was ein areich lecho. Ein areich lecho, that is not it's not comparable to you. But not that ein zu losech, that there is none but you. V'hainu, and that is, what is the meaning of this distinction? Sheba Olam Hazeh nizhaba b'chinas amtzius dafka. That an Olam Hazeh was created, was brought into being the Mitzvah, the Bechinas HaMetzias dafka. The Bechina was called Metzius. Shehu b'Bechinas Pirut. The Metzius is b'Bechinas Pirut, has the element of Pirut. What's mean Pirut? Every piece of Metzius is a separate entity. We have, again, these are fine thoughts, and we're learning it, so at least we should touch upon it. When we stand on the ground, even from a perfectly physical perception, we stand on the ground. We can stand here, we can stand here, we can stand here. That is in terms of us occupying the space where we stand. But what actually supports it? What actually holds us up. It's exactly the same ground. Even from a physical perspective, it's like the center of gravity. The center. You're standing on the same pin, wherever you stand. Because over there, it is not spatial, it's not mitzias, it is the principle of it, the koyach. But when it comes in Olam Hazeh, B'chinas mitzius is pirut. Every piece of space is a separate entity, a separate presence. Therefore, since in Olam Hazeh is B'chinas ha-mitzius. Let me step back a moment. It is true that we're being supported by the center of the earth. But where do we stand? Not on the center. We stand where space is provided for us to stand. This is the B'chinas ha-mitzius. Not the essence, but that which is accommodating, which is a presence, an independent and separate presence. And therefore, Mitzius is nifrod. Every piece of Mitzius is a separate Mitzius. Two people cannot stand on the very same spot. Although, in essence, they are standing on the same spot. Not on the mitzias level, but in the support level, in the reality level. This is a gashmizik emotion for this. Olam Hazeh is haba b'chinas ha-mitzias dafki. Shehu b'chinas pirut, mitzias is b'chinas pirut. Mitzias can only be when there is pirut, when you can separate one piece of mitzias from another. Rak l'olam haba. Let me elaborate a little bit more about this. Mitzias b'chinas pirut. We spoke about this. We said that the Baal Shem Tov says, "Mokim she'ritzoyne shel odom shomhu." The place where a person's rotzin is, this is where he is. This is momentarily. He wants to be there, that's where he is. Mokim she'ritzoyne shel odom shomhu. This is mitzad, the level of rotzin. This rotzin is very, very powerful, very effective. It is so effective that even if a person is in Olam Hazeh, in a mitzius, the rotzin will push him to go, no, I want to be there physically. In order to be there physically, I have to make X number of steps to be there. In essence, I'm there already. It's how the rotzin. But then, in order to be there, b'mitzius, it takes X number of steps. In the nefesh, the whole principle of steps doesn't exist. The nefesh is where it wants to be. But this is the absolute truth mitzvah the nefesh. But when it comes down in mitzias, in Olam Hazeh, it comes down in a whole bunch of separate entities. Every step is a separate mitzias. B'chinas pirut. And we pointed out an interesting phenomenon. If a person is in one place and he transfers himself to a different place, and the transfer basically requires 100 steps, and if these steps are avoided completely, somehow he is instantaneously from here he comes here. There's a certain element of reality that's missing. Like we said, that wealth, for example, if a person gets wealth without understanding how he got it, he doesn't really appreciate it. To appreciate wealth, he has to have gone through the steps of how that creates wealth. Then he knows what it is. If he gets wealth without going through the steps, then the wealth is only serves to that he's not impoverished, but he's not wealthy. Wealthy means that he has the sense what its value is. He knows he's not impoverished. This is pshat in Metzias. If it has to be experienced in Metzias, it has to go through all the steps. In a spirit. Only in the Olam Haba, Hainu began Eden, which is Gan Eden. And what's a Gan Eden so unique? Shemeir Gilui Ha'or. Where in Gan Eden is Meir, shines, means it expresses Gilui Ha'or, the revelation of the Or. This will take a few days. Let's go a little further. Ukinoida, as is known, Shebegan Eden, Meir Gili Hoatzilus. In Eden shines. Shines means is recognized. Gili Hoatzilus, the revelation of the Atzilus. The Haino Haoras Akav. And by Gili Hoatzilus is Haoras Akav. And Shehoir Dovuk Bim Koine. Where the oil is Dovuk Bim Koine. This is Gili Hoir. I'd like to, since I say again, we struggled thus far, we'll struggle a little bit more. We spoke about it in the past. I'm gonna revisit this in. It says in the Torah that in the first day of creation, Vayim Elokim Yehi Oir Vahi Oir. Elokim said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And then it says, the light that he separated the light, of course, the light and Vayikol Elokim Lo Oir Yoim and so forth. And then, come the fourth day, he created the luminaries, the sun and the moon and so forth. What does it mean you create light if there is no luminary? In our world, light is an add-on. Light is not an effective, an essential presence. Essential presence is darkness. So what was created in the first day? And then he separated darkness from light. And as the Gemara says, that he actually hid this light. And the reason he hid this light is because this light would counter the mitzias of world. World would not be world. What's this light? As we said before, sight is a phenomenal thing. How do I see things without coming in contact with them? They're separate entities. There are two distinct levels at which we recognize things. Chochmah and everything else. You said Chochmah sees things from their inception, from their mocker, and everything else. And this is sight and everything else and touch. The difference is touch tastes things after the fact. I'm here. And in my world, there is this thing because I feel it. This is what makes it present. That's after the fact. The thing doesn't exist but for the fact that I feel it. It's not knowing the thing, the real thing. It doesn't exist before. It exists before because I touch it. This is how the world understands existence. One thing affects the other. What is the real truth? The real truth is everything is created by God. It has a real presence. Not only by its effect on other things, on relative level. In the physical world we do not observe it. This is why it's called. This is why it's dark. Dark means that I can I can recognize things in the relative things. If they affect me, I see it. If they don't affect me, I don't see it. God created light in the first day, which means He revealed in the world this fundamental truth. It is a real world. It is a real presence, a godly presence, not only defined on a relative sense. That light, yes, it kind of eliminates world, because in world everything is relative. There's no absolute in the world. Do you know what I'm saying? Anything that in the world? This table is standing on the floor because it cannot fall to the floor. That's not standing on the floor because that's where it belongs. You understand what I'm saying? It's not standing there because I wanted to stand there. That's where it stands. It's standing because it cannot. The floor holds it back from falling too. And I'm using that phenomenon to my personal advantage. Oir revealed the truth itself of the world, the godly level of truth.
Or meaning that light from the first day.
From the first day.
Which was then taken away.
This light is not luminary, it's not physically dependent. He just said, yes, in the world there is a truth. Even though initially the world was created betzimtzum, concealing the truth, and then there was chashiv v'heir. But yes, there is a truth in the world.
This chashiv v'heir is after he removed it, he brought back.
That's right. That's right. That's it. Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum allowed the world to create. This builds so comment. This is the in Gan Eden is meir gilui ha'oir. Gilui ha'oir means the truth of the oil itself, the godly truth. Hamoy, that's dovig bim koir. Oil is dovig bim koir. Now, but it's a reality in and of itself, not relative to other things that it affects. And that's why in Gan Eden, Al Kain, I'm saying people, Al Kain, Nirgash Sham Eich She'ein Zo L'Sechel. This is why over there it is Nirgash. Nirgash, we translate the word sensed. Again, in our terminology, sensing also seems to be speaking, I'm sensing something from a distance. I'm sensing as a separate entity. But the real meaning of Nirgash is I know it from I said from inside. Das meint Nirgash. If I'm sensing something, it is just a projection. Every one of us can sense their toes. Do you sense your toes by projecting them or by sensing them? They're real, they're part of you. You know their truth. This means nirgash. It's complete, it's not, we don't have a real way of translating this in words, it's just by explanation. Nirgasham shein zolosecha means that there, wherever you look, you see one thing. Ein zolosecha. Just like when we discussed light, daylight, we discussed the daylight, even though this is a very physical light, but nevertheless, it has this similarity. Daylight is not, I could see this cup because I can see this cup. I can see this because I can see this cup. No. Everything is automatically visible. It's impossible that I should not see this. Because light encompasses and embraces everything. And I'm part of it. It's not a separate transmission. This is the daylight element that we discussed so many times here. The principle of daylight, that light embraces the entire existence, is representative of the fact that there is one source for the entire world.
Wait, how? One source for the entire world. This is Ein Zulasecha.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ein Zulasecha would be there's nothing but you, not world.
So, no.
Justified.
So, world is when there is a whole pirut. There's mitzias. Wherever you look, you see the same thing. You don't say, "Oh, I can see this. Oh, I can also see this." No, there's no such thing. This is the oil that never be imrishin. It showed that the world is not just darkness, fundamental. No. The world has an inherent, a visible presence. Why does it have a visible presence? Because it has a creator, one creator. This is what the Oyer Shalom revealed, and surely that cannot coexist in a functional level with the world until the world is nisbarer and so forth. But essentially, the world is nullified. There's no world. Adam Arishan was able to see. He was able to see from one end of the world to the other. I always point out, one end of the world, okay, he's got powerful vision. But there's mountains, there's hills, there's valleys, there's walls, there's trees. How can you say beyond that? He doesn't see in the same way that because he observes this. He sees the entire reality. That's one reality. This is it for this morning. I try my best.